Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving into Surfer SEO. Now, if you're in the world of content, you've probably heard of it. It's a tool that promises to give you a scientific formula for hitting that #1 spot on Google. But it's also been accused of, well, killing creativity. So we're going to look at both sides of the coin.
For years, getting your stuff to rank on Google really felt like an art. It was all about intuition, you'd write what felt right, you'd hit publish, and just kind of cross your fingers and hope the algorithms smiled on you. But what if you could swap that hope for a predictable, data-driven process? And that, right there, is the core promise of Surfer SEO. It's designed to take all of that guesswork out of the equation. The whole idea is to stop throwing spaghetti at the wall and start using data to see what actually sticks. It's trying to turn the art of SEO into a much more predictable science. So, before we get into exactly how Surfer works, let's just quickly set the stage and talk about the problem it was actually built to solve. At its heart, Surfer is for anyone who is just tired of that SEO guessing game. We're talking about content marketers, agencies, writers, basically anyone who wants a clearer, data-backed roadmap to get to the top of Google search results.
Okay, so how does it actually do it? What's the secret sauce behind this promise of a formula for ranking #1?
Well, the whole idea is pretty simple, actually. It's all about reverse engineering. Instead of trying to guess what Google wants, Surfer just looks at what Google is already rewarding. It analyzes the search engine results pages, the Serps, and it builds you a roadmap based on what's already winning.
And the process works in this really simple 3-step loop. First, it analyzes the top pages, looking at hundreds of different signals. Then, based on that, it recommends super specific guidelines for you to follow. Think word count, keywords, headlines, the whole shebang. And finally, as you write, it scores your content in real time.
And that score, that number out of 100, that becomes the end goal. The whole experience is kind of gamified, pushing you to hit this high score, which Surfer frames as the industry benchmark for a perfectly optimized page.
But, and this is a big but, this is where our story takes a turn. Because chasing that perfect score can reveal what a lot of experienced users call the dark side of this data-driven approach. This quote right here really nails the #1 criticism from a lot of seasoned SEO pros. In that frantic chase for a high score, it's really easy to forget who you're actually writing for, a real person, not just a machine. And this really exposes a fundamental conflict. On one hand, Surfer prioritizes things it can easily measure like keyword density or including certain terms. But on the other hand, Google and, actual readers, they prioritize qualities like helpfulness, natural flow, and what Google calls EEAT. That's experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trust. And those two lists, they aren't always the same thing. The risks here are very real. Over-optimization can make your writing sound unnatural, totally stuffed with keywords. Writers can get so fixated on this arbitrary score that they forget a really crucial rule. Correlation is not causation. Just because the top-ranking articles all happen to mention a specific word, that doesn't mean adding that word is what caused them to rank. This kind of approach can lead to what critics call low-quality sludge content. So this conflict between the tool's promise and its potential downsides creates this really fascinating split in how people actually feel about it. Just look at this divide. You go to formal review sites like G2 or Capterra, and Surfer has these near-perfect ratings. People praise it for being effective, easy to use. But then you hop over to community forums like Reddit, and you find all these experienced pros warning people that the methodology is outdated and it can make your writing sound robotic. And this debate over value for money gets even more intense when you actually look at the price tag. The monthly plans are a pretty significant investment. And if you want to use some of the cooler features like the AI writer, you have to buy extra credits on top of that, so the costs can add up really fast. So, after weighing this data-driven promise against all the creative pitfalls, what's the final verdict here? Is Surfer SEO actually worth it? Honestly, the answer really depends on who you are. For big agencies or experienced teams who know how to use its data as a guide and not as gospel, yeah, it can be a really powerful tool. But if you're on a tight budget or if you're the kind of person who might follow its suggestions blindly, it becomes a much, much riskier investment. And this is maybe the most crucial point. The tool's value depends entirely on your judgment. If you treat it like a strategic advisor, you're going to end up with robotic content. But if you use it as a data provider, as a final checklist to inform your own strategy, well, then it can be a pretty powerful ally. So we're left with this one final question. Is Surfer a helpful guide or is it a harmful dictator? Is it a tool that gives you an edge or one that just strips the soul out of your writing? And in the end, it seems like the answer isn't really in the software itself, but in the hands of the writer who's using it.